5 networking events, 3 lifting sessions, 5 cardio days, and somehow the biggest lesson I learned this week had nothing to do with the gym. Let's talk about what the last 7 days actually taught me. Hey guys, welcome back to my weekly transformation recap where I reflect on what the past 7 days taught me in my heart, my health, and my hustle. Today is actually Sunday, March 8th, as I'm recording this. And one thing I'm realizing is this season of growth is that a lot can happen in just one week. Some weeks feel slow, and then there are weeks like this one where everything stretches you a little bit at a time. This past week pushed me physically, mentally, and honestly, even emotionally, in ways I didn't quite expect. So let's start with the heart. Okay, one thing that really stood out to me this week is the power of accountability and community. For the past week, I've been waking up at 5 a.m. Monday through Friday. Shout out to my friend Harvest, who's helping me keep me accountable. Every morning by 5:02 a.m., I message her on Facebook, letting her know I'm getting my butt out of bed. At the same time, I'm helping her stay accountable to her business goals as well. So win-win. And something about that simple exchange has honestly been a game changer because it reminds me that transformation becomes a lot easier when we don't try to do everything alone. But I'll also be honest about something that has been a little frustrating because I weigh myself first thing in the morning. I can't drink water or really start my day until I use the restroom. And sometimes that takes an hour, sometimes a little bit longer. So there are some mornings where I'm just sitting there thinking, okay, like let's get this show on the road. Trying to go to the gym. Maybe that's a little TMI, but it's real life. In a perfect world, I'd be at the gym by 6 in the morning, and that way I could finish my workout within about an hour and a half and then move on with the day. But hey, life isn't perfect. It's not, there's no such thing as perfect timing in that regard. It's a part of that season for me and learning how to stay disciplined even when things aren't flowing perfectly. So I've been noticing that I naturally wake up around 3:30 in the morning. If that happens again this week, I'm going to experiment to see how I feel because I actually feel more awake versus when I actually am supposed to get out of bed at 5 a.m. And I did some research. It sounds like that might be because I might be mid sleep cycle at 5 a.m. So if that happens, my goal is to actually go to bed at a different time, 9:30 p.m. or 11 p.m. to get full sleep cycles. Otherwise, I'm just going to get out of bed at 3:30 in the morning and see what happens. Now, back to my lifts actually this week. And so this week I lifted weights 3 times, upper body, glutes, day 1, then shoulders day 2, glutes day 3. And right now I've been at 5 days of cardio, 20 minutes each. But just recently, so I check in on Thursdays, I do my weigh-ins, and my coach wants me to increase my cardio from 20 minutes to 30 minutes per session and do one more session a week. So that'll be 6 a week. Now, this is the challenging part. I don't know if you can relate. Let me know in the comments if you can. It's keeping my heart rate above 130 beats per minute because what can happen is your heart gets stronger, and so it requires more work to beat faster, which is I'm supposed to be at 130 beats per minute. And that sounds simple, but it actually requires a lot of focus. And so what I'd been doing was using the elliptical machine, which is great. I love the elliptical, but I noticed that I had to constantly micromanage my heart rate to keep it high at 130 beats per minute. And I don't know about you, but I like to watch Netflix or something to like let my brain rot a little bit while I do some cardio. And so if I do that, I actually might miss that my heart rate dipped down. And so just recently, I switched to the treadmill where I can increase the incline and walk at a faster pace. So it's a bit more set it and forget it. That way, I don't have to micromanage my heart rate the whole time. And so, getting to watch Netflix is something that it's like a guilty pleasure. I'm actually watching Love is Blind in Italian. So I actually do feel like I'm learning something. I feel like I'm learning some Italian. So, and if you didn't know, that used to be one of my favorite things was studying foreign languages back in the day. And so I want to talk about something I'm excited about when it comes to the fitness transformation. For the first time in years, the scale has dipped below 134 pounds. I don't know the last time I weighed in at that. It's probably been like in my 20s, now 35. And so that's been really cool. And I feel the calorie deficit is actually working. But obviously I get to stay focused because right now what I'm experiencing is hunger. But what's nice is because I'm so dialed into my business at the same time, my business transformation, it keeps me distracted from my hunger. But when my mind is busy, it's easier to not obsess over food. Let me know if you can relate. Although I will say that with this extra cardio, I am a bit nervous to experience more hunger. I've been, I don't know how many days now, 20 plus days streak. We haven't had any days that we've missed. On top of that, I'm forcing myself to vacuum and sweep more after my Australian Shepherd, who is extremely hairy. That's going to help me get more steps in, but also be accountable to keeping a tidy home. So this week, that's my declaration is I'm going to sweep once a day and vacuum, ideally in the morning. And so that's the health side of things. Now let's move on and talk about some of the hustle. Okay. This past week, I attended, as I said, 5 networking events in person near Phoenix. I'm a member of BNI, if you don't know what that is. And what I love is it gives you the opportunity to visit other chapters, and they're all very different culturally, size wise as well. And this particular chapter, one of them that I visited, had over 56 members. My chapter has just shy of 20 members. So that's a different ball game when it comes to standing up and giving your pitch. So normally we get 60 seconds of a pitch in my chapter because we have a smaller group, but in this one you barely had 20 seconds, and they're really on it with the time. And so that felt really humbling. I'm sure I botched it, but at the end of the day, I did it anyway. And so I get to work on compressing my pitch. And I'm actually going to sub for someone at that chapter again this coming Thursday. So it's going to be great practice, round 2, and, continue to get better at that. Another thing I wanted to talk about was all those entrepreneurs that I got to meet at that particular chapter. They were extremely welcoming, very friendly, which is not that common when it comes to certain chapters. And so it just reminded me that it's about building relationships, and what you put out, what you want to receive is what you want to put out there. Like, be the energy that you want to attract. Okay. And so it's about, success in business is about being good with people, genuinely caring about them, and that giver's gain mentality. That's one of the core pillars, the philosophies of BNI, and that's one of my favorite things about being part of that organization. So, but something that I want to be honest about that's been kind of, I guess, a challenge, or I'm having some doubt with, I've been grappling with this, is the difference between building a business online versus building one locally. Since I shifted out of real estate a number of years ago, more or less, I gravitated towards building online, and that was super convenient, very scalable. However, very boring because it's really tough to make friends when you're behind a computer all day. And so while that was scalable, it's something that's been my goal this year is to really get out there and focus on building a local community. And so that's why I've been networking my face off, because yes, it takes more time and energy, but I feel that the connections are deeper and they're higher in quality. Because the truth is, without trust, without that relationship, I feel there is no business to be had. Okay. And again, you don't make friends sitting alone at home. That's what I've learned. And so another thing I'm noticing is networking locally. It doesn't necessarily create business overnight. So maybe if you're a real estate agent and you're listening to this, you might be able to relate to that as well. It's not like you're going to walk into a room and suddenly have 20 people sign up in your business, right? And so you got to manage your expectations with that. However, I do feel it's really quality, deep rooted relationships that we have the opportunity to build. And so I'm learning how to appreciate that more and more. But at the same time, I get to balance actually picking up the phone and calling my list of people that I know might likely do now business with me. Okay. So it's a balancing act. It's a little bit like spinning 2 plates. And so my commitment is I'm going to be dedicating in-person networking Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Mondays and Fridays is going to be more for calling and making sure I'm addressing my list. Okay. Sometimes when results don't show up immediately, it's easy for that doubt to creep in, but I'm reminding myself daily that I'm playing the long game, because if I keep showing up and I don't give up, those roots I'm planting now are going to grow into something really strong. And so I hope that you remember that too. Another big announcement, and I'm scared even just to say it here, is that I am going to be starting to host my own meetings at home this week. Every Thursday is going to be at my home here in North Phoenix. And I'm excited because that's something I've never personally done. It's scary because I might have 0 people come, but that's part of the stretch. That's part of, we get to start somewhere. Every master was once a student. And so it's going to keep me accountable, keeping my home tidy, and also mastering my presentation skills and public speaking skills. And so I want to share something honest, which is right now I'm working really hard. And the results in my business haven't really shown up 100% yet. Obviously, it's just been 2 or 3 weeks that I'm in this business run. And that's just part again of playing the long game. And so let me know if you can relate to that. I truly believe that showing up continuously like this, networking, inviting people to learn about what I'm doing, following up with them, it's eventually going to mean a flood of signups. And not only will we get to acquire hundreds of customers, but I will naturally attract a team of like-minded entrepreneurs that want to help me help others. That's my belief. And in the meantime, I'm also realizing something really important: the importance of investing in myself. Back in October, I made the decision to stretch myself by investing in a personal development program again. I've actually spent, I don't know, tens of thousands of dollars in personal development over the years. It's been a few years since I was a student, and I was used to more, being like a volunteer staff or lead. But it feels good to be the student again, to be the one that's getting stretched. Honestly, I had to get creative to make that happen because transparently, I did not have the funds to invest in myself, but that was part of the growth journey, was taking the risk and asking for what I wanted. And so I'm glad I did that. I've gotten to meet amazing people all over the world through this program because in order to live a life we've never lived, we get to become someone we've never been, right? And so doing that on our own is tough. And what I'm realizing in this leadership container is that with mentorship, accountability, and community, it can help us bridge that gap so much faster. So, over the past few months in my leadership program, we've raised nearly $25,000 for, we're actually battling human trafficking. We're just $2,460 away from hitting our goal by March 18th, 2026, which is like, I don't know, 10 days from now. If you feel called to learn more about supporting this cause, please feel free to reach out to me directly and let me know, because it only takes $110 to save someone from human trafficking. Also, I've rediscovered creativity through cooking and meal prepping, macro-friendly meals. I used to get super overwhelmed trying to think about my nutrition and build a business at the same time. I still feel that way, but having the container of accountability has really just helped me just do it anyway. And what I realized is it's not as hard as I thought. Also getting back in the gym and working on my fitness goals, going back outside with my dog, getting my steps in, even late at night. So if you've been following me on Instagram, I post my stories there, which is on the days where I didn't hit my step goal, which is 10,000 steps a day, I get to stay up until I do, right? And having that level of commitment. Okay. And so now here we are. I'm finally relaunching this YouTube channel, right? Last week was my first time getting back into it since I left real estate a number of years ago. This has been a goal of mine for years, literally the longest time. And the reason why I held myself back was because I thought everything had to be perfect, right? Perfect thumbnails, perfect editing, perfect B-roll. I convinced myself that videos had to be professionally produced to be worth watching. And because of this, I never took action. But this whole 90-day transformation is about being real and authentic in this journey. So what better time to start than now? I'd rather start messy than never start at all. How about you? And so my focus these next 7 days is this: again, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, networking my face off, building those in-person relationships, and building a local community for my business. Mondays and Fridays, I'm going to do more calls and getting to catch up on a lot of that work, reconnecting, follow up, and sharing vision with people and acquiring customers and recruiting, building a team. And then let's see what else. Also, my gym workouts, duh. Now, what I always have believed when it comes to building relationships is it's like growing a garden, right? So we get to plant seeds every single day, and also we get to nurture those seeds regularly. Sometimes those seeds won't sprout, and sometimes they will. Whatever it is okay. And so overall, I'm very proud of myself with the effort I put in this past 7 days. A lot of personal growth is happening behind the scenes, and I'm actually filming a lot of those too. I'm going to figure out how to get them out there. But I know these seeds are being planted, and just having that faith and remembering that transformation does not happen in one big moment, doesn't happen overnight. It happens in hundreds of small decisions where we just keep showing up. So, thanks again for tuning in to this week's transformation recap, where every week we reflect, reset, and realign our heart, health, and hustle. I'll see you soon for Meal Prep with May. And of course, on my daily walk in wisdoms. Also, stay tuned for my first ever Wellness Wednesday that's coming out this coming Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm going to be sharing wellness education that I'm learning in my business every Wednesday. So see you again on my channel where transformation becomes a lifestyle.